more. I'm Keiana Martin, and Quick Pitch presented by DraftKings Sportsbook starts now because it's test time. Perhaps the most important test of the season for the Atlanta Braves. The Braves trailed New York by 10.5 games entering June, but Atlanta has gone 40-15 since then. That's the best record in the majors. And they've climbed to within 3.5 games of the Mets, setting up this weekend's 5-game showdown in Flushing. Division games will ultimately decide this race. Only the Dodgers have a better record against their own division this year than the Mets. Meanwhile, the Bravos are 24-17 against their NL East counterparts. These clubs will face off 9 times over the next 2 weeks. The final exam is set for the last week of the regular season, and hopefully both clubs come well prepared. Take a look at the NL East standings. With the Mets win over the Braves on Thursday, New York's lead in the division climbs to 4.5 games, which means no matter what, the Mets will still finish this 5-game series in first place in the division. The Phillies have an outside chance to stay in the race, while the Marlins and Nationals have their sights set on the future. They added a new chapter to the history shared by the Dodgers and Giants, a rivalry that dates back more than a century to when both clubs called New York City home. Los Angeles completed their first 4-game sweep in San Francisco since July 1977 and have won 8 straight games overall against San Francisco, tying the longest single-season win streak the Dodgers have had against the Giants since both clubs moved west. For the Cards prior to the trade deadline was to add to their rotation. Enter Jose Quintana, who was acquired in a deal from the division rival Pirates. Quintana allowed 1 hit in 6 innings in his St. Louis debut Thursday. He became the 4th Cards pitcher in the modern era to throw at least 6 innings and allow 1 hit or fewer in his club debut. Now for a look at the NL Central. With the Cards' doubleheader sweep of the Cubs and the Brewers' walk-off loss to Pittsburgh, these clubs have identical records atop the division. The Cards and Brewers still have 7 games remaining with one another so far, so this race is far from over. Job you want, not the job you have. Well, the Padres look the part as of late, completing their blockbuster deal that brought Juan Soto, Josh Bell, and Josh Hader to San Diego. Carrying a 5-game win streak into Thursday's action, their resume is polished and looks pretty good on paper. And a blowout win Wednesday was more evidence that this team may be ready to move from a cubicle to a luxury corner office. The ultimate gauge of that will come this weekend when the new and improved Padres take on the current top-floor resident Dodgers. A promotion seems on the horizon, but they still need to pass one more background check by closing out a 5-game sweep of Colorado. Loss for the Padres Thursday, but the real test begins Friday as they travel to Los Angeles to begin a 3-game set with the division-leading Dodgers. Afterwards, they'll play their fellow wild-card contenders, the Giants, before 10 straight games against the NL East. Red Sox moved on from a fan favorite on Thursday. Boston announced the release of Jackie Bradley Jr. shortly after news broke the outfielder was being designated for assignment. The move comes 3 days after the Red Sox added Tommy Pham to their outfield with a trade with the Reds. In his second stint with Boston, Bradley was hitting .210 with a .578 OPS and 271 at-bats this season. The roster moves clear space for the Sox to add Matt Barnes, Darwinzon Hernandez, and newcomer Eric Hosmer to the active roster. Hosmer was in the starting lineup, making his Red Sox debut and taking on his first club, the Royals, for the first time since leaving as a free agent in 2017. Shohei Ohtani is the best two-way player we've ever seen, and in addition to his reigning AL MVP hardware, he's proven that he's nowhere near finished. On Thursday night, Ohtani blasted 2 homers against the A's, giving him 117 for his career. Now that ties him with Ichiro Suzuki for the 2nd most home runs by a Japanese-born player. It's only Ohtani's 5th season, and he was able to catch up with the legendary Ichiro. Next up, former Yankees and Rays outfielder Hideki Matsui, who had 175 homers in his MLB career. Now, if Ohtani keeps up his current long ball pace, he'll pass Matsui in 2024. I'm Keiana Martin. Thanks for watching Quick Pitch. See you next time.